Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to our 30th weekly magazine where we'll be focusing from 17th September to 23rd September 2017. In the previous video, I had actually mentioned about the NCERT videos and I have already told you that by October 15th, we will be releasing a sample video. You can see that, and over a period of time, we will be providing one after the other. So if you are interested, you can log in and watch all those videos. Second important thing, few students were actually asking for notes of NCERT. We don't believe in notes from NCERT because NCERT itself is summary from multiple books. So it's very important for us to read every line of NCERT books. So which are these lines and how exactly can UPSC ask questions will be learned in those videos, right? So guys, let's quickly get into the most important news articles. The essay of the week is with respect to peace is the most powerful weapon of mankind. So just try to go through this carefully and try to talk about how exactly historically, politically, economically, peace has prevailed in the world and how exactly it has helped the humanity to move forward. Most important issue which was actually news with respect to geography. It can be asked in this year mains itself or it can be asked in next year prelims also. It is actually with respect to Narmada Dam. First important thing that you all have to know about this is, this project is dream project of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and later even Prime Minister Nehru had inaugurated it. They thought that they would be constructing this dam, but unfortunately, it took all these years because of the opposition from other states. If you actually look at the river flow, it flows through four major states, that is Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Rajasthan. When I am talking about Maharashtra and Rajasthan, they are not very much dependent on Narmada. But when it comes to Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat, here the water which flows from Madhya Pradesh enters into Gujarat. So if a dam is actually constructed, the river usually submerges the villages on the Madhya Pradesh side and it will benefit Gujarat. This is one of the main reasons why there was Narmada Bachao Andolan and many other NGOs who were actually protesting about this. And most important areas which would be submerged because of this were the tribal areas, and on behalf of this there were several NGOs who worked. And now when we look at the historical aspects, it is important because right from the beginning, if we have to talk about Sutlej being the lifeline of Punjab and Haryana, Narmada can become a lifeline of Gujarat because it is mostly drought prone. And along with this, the Prime Minister had also planned for Sauni project where the headwaters, even the remaining water from Narmada which is going into the Arabian Sea will be diverted and it will be made use for Saurashtra and other areas. So the ultimate aim of this project is to ensure that no water goes waste into Arabian Sea and it can be utilized for the welfare of the mankind. So from that point of view, it's very good. But when it comes to the tribal rights, where the displacement has taken place, we have to be conscious when we comment about it, where we need to tell that government has to ensure that their rights are also protected. The second most important thing about this particular dam is with respect to gravity dam. And many people say that it is important mainly because when we consider by volume, it is second biggest after the Grand Coulee Dam in the USA. What exactly do we mean by this? That is, what exactly do we mean by the gravity dam? So when I'm talking about the gravity dam, so usually if I consider a dam, right, which would be constructed in this format, Here you have headwaters which is stored. Here it will be Madhya Pradesh. And here you will have tailwater or tow water which will be Gujarat. So this water will exert pressure on this. Usually if this body has to be stabilized, then usually this water and this water has to be stable so that this can be maintained. The pressure of these two has to balance in such a way that if this and this are equal, then it can be stored. But unfortunately, as the headwater will be more and the tow water or tail water will be less, the body of the dam has to take care of this particular weight. That is, if any pressure is exerted by this particular water, then the materials which are there or which are used in this should be able to withstand the pressure. So whatever water comes, the dam should not collapse. Second important thing, even during earthquakes, where you will have shake of the building or shake of the dam in any format, even at that point of time, the dam should not break. Third important thing, you may actually observe that water may enter below the dam, correct? And whenever water enters below the dam, it actually weakens the base. Whenever the base is weakened, there is a possibility that the dam may collapse. So the dam should be able to withstand this pressure, earthquake pressure, and also we call this as uplift pressure. What is uplift pressure? Water whichever has entered below the dam should also be considered, because only if you consider that, then the dam can withstand the uplift pressure also. So these are some of the things which we consider whenever we talk about the gravity dam. High possibility in science and technology they may ask you a question about gravity dam and earth dam. Whenever we call earth or rock dam, the meaning of that is with whatever materials that are available there locally, that will be used. And if the water increases, there is a possibility that you have to release the water quickly. If you don't release the water, then the dam can be collapsed. This is one of the main reasons why usually you observe that whenever floods happen, some floods are man-made, especially in those areas closer to the dams. The reason for this is whenever the water level increases in the dam, and if the dam is not capable of holding that water, then usually the dam will be collapsed. So what they do, they release water so that the dam can withstand the water pressure. So this is one of the main reasons why you see floods. But in this particular circumstance where we are talking about gravity dam, beyond a particular limit, it can actually hold the materials or it can hold the water. After that, it cannot. So it would be also similar to the other dams which we usually observe. But the only difference is the materials which are actually present or which are used for the construction of dam is capable of withholding all the pressures that is exerted on the particular dam, right? So this is very, very important for us. We have given information or facts with respect to this. Just go through this, not very, very important, right? The concept of gravity dam is important. The other facts can be asked. Just go through this once. The government has recently announced the creation of a committee which will actually look into the sub-categorization of the OBCs itself. So, if at one hand we are actually seeing that against reservation, the so-called upper caste people are fighting, or they are also asking to be included in this. Now, within the OBCs, there is a plan to create this differentiation so that the government can bring any community as part of OBC, but the quota which will be provided to them will be less. So let us exactly see what happens if this comes into picture. But as of now, there is a plan to change this. This is what we need to understand. When we talk about elections, it is very important for us to look at Representation of People's Act. Here we need to understand one simple point, that recently a private member has proposed that MPs has to disclose or declare their assets not only during elections and within a week time after winning the elections, but it is very important for them to declare their assets at the end of the tenure as well. If there is huge increase in assets of that particular MP or MLA, that means that there was corruption involved during this particular period. And this will actually help the general public to understand how exactly he has worked and whether to vote or not. It is more about building transparency. As it is a private member's bill, high possibility it may not be passed in the parliament. But what is more important for us is whenever we write our mains exams and whenever there is questions about how to prevent money being used in elections or how to ensure that there is transparency in electoral system, then if you can talk about this, it would be beneficial. Else, high possibility there won't be any question directly on this. Japanese Prime Minister's visit to India is actually seen to be one of the most interesting one in the recent times. India is managing very well when it comes to China. Even after Doklam, we are in a position to establish good relations to such an extent that China outrightly said that Pakistan is a terror state. So when we talk about this, it is very interesting to know that why China said this even after Doklam. And at the same time, when we actually observe, within a week, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe visited India and there was 8-kilometer rally to ensure or to show to the world that Indo-Japan relations is growing stronger. So what exactly is the geopolitical strategy that is actually happening? Earlier, people were mostly interested about United States and Europe, and even between US and Russia when it comes to Europe. Entire Cold War, people were expecting some wars in Europe. But now, the entire focus is on Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean. We call today's era to be Indo-Pacific era, where countries like Russia, which is actually trying to show itself as a Eurasian country rather than a European country, China and India playing a significant role, South Korea, North Korea, Vietnam, Philippines, Japan. The era of Asia is back. And when the era of Asia is back, there is geopolitical shift here, but at the same time, relations between different countries have also changed. Every country is conscious in its relationship with other. Few countries are open when they actually say that they are against a particular country. For example, North Korea is against South Korea and Japan. China outrightly rejects any claim for relationship between China and Japan. Whereas India is a country which has issues with China but has developed relationship cautiously in such a way that the economic relations between India and China is growing faster. Even though if it is favoring China, India has not taken any adverse measures which would affect the trade. Even when we had Doklam, even when we had Chinese incursions in Ladakh and other regions, the trade has never stopped, which shows that the continued effort by the diplomatic sides of both countries is working. And when we look at Japan, what is more important for us is, apart from the bullet train investment, India is actually requesting Japan to invest in Northeast India. Japan has the required technology and money which can develop any part of the world. Along with bullet train, when we are talking about development in Northeast, China was not really happy about India allowing Japanese investments. China went to the extent of saying that it is a disputed territory, especially Arunachal Pradesh is a disputed territory between India and China. So India cannot allow Japanese investments in this region. This is interesting to know about the hypocrisy of China, where it is saying that in a disputed territory, the third country cannot come and invest, but it has itself invested in the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which passes through Karakoram, which is integral to India. And even if China considers it to be disputed between India and Pakistan, why did it invest there? It is also planning to invest in some river projects, dams in the Pakistan occupied Kashmir region. So all this clearly shows that China, what they speak, they do not follow. If Chinese stops these investments in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, then definitely India will also think when it talks about Japanese investments in Northeast. So this would be interesting to see how exactly India is trying to balance between different powers, where we are trying to have good relations with US, Japan on one side. At the same time, we have developed very good relations with China and Russia by joining Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So whenever we are talking about these, it's a clear indication that we have to be conscious and we have to be cautious about our relationship with any country. We should maintain the balance. It is not Cold War, but it's a new Cold War era where US, Japan is on one side and Russia, China is on the other side, which shows the beginning of the Cold War. 1945, if we go back, the same thing existed, but now again we are seeing the same days. And India is much closer to both the countries now. So with all this, India has also tried to develop some defense dialogues with Japan. The defense and economic ministers or foreign and defense ministers of India and Japan have initiated 2+2 dialogue. If they ask you 2+2 dialogue is with which country, you have to talk about Japan. India has purchased maritime surveillance from Japan. India, US, Japan is actually involved in the Malabar exercises. So all this is important when we talk about Indo-Japan relationship today. The next important issue, if we just continue with the same thing, is about Indo-US joint exercise Yuddhabhyas. When we are talking about this, it is between two armies and they will try to share the skills which are required for counter-insurgency and counter-terrorist operations under United Nations Charter. This is very, very important, right? So counter-insurgency, counter-terrorist operations which are actually there under UN Charter. During this, soldiers from both countries will hone their tactical skills in countering terrorism. Both sides jointly trained, planned and executed series of well-developed tactical drills for neutralization of likely threats. As I have already told you, whenever we talk about any sort of joint military exercises, whether it is with respect to technology or whether it is with respect to surveillance equipments or whether it is with respect to weapons, everything will be shared. And most importantly, whenever they communicate, how exactly they need to communicate in case if they are going for war in future will also be learnt. But many analysts also say that this is also showcase of certain weapons, so that India would purchase these weapons from United States. If we have joint exercises with Russia, we may purchase it from Russia. If we have joint exercises with Sri Lanka, India will be selling this to Sri Lanka. So Russia and Pakistan came together at a time when Russia wanted to sell their defense equipments. So all this is important when we look at the issues one after the other. The next important issue, and an issue which never ends at any point of time, is with respect to anti-defection law. The reason for this is, whenever you have one party in power and if the party has some support from the central government, then you will actually see that some sort of things would be called as disqualification. and it goes to Supreme Court, and the court will decide whether the disqualification under anti-defection law is right or not. So this keeps on occurring. So this is a continuous phenomena. So here we have given in detail whatever happened in Tamil Nadu, which is not important. But what is more important for you is with respect to anti-defection law, where you need to know that here, if the political members of a political party voluntarily give up their membership, or whenever a whip is disobeyed, that is, whip means, say you have to vote against Modi government, or you want to vote to a particular person in Rajya Sabha elections, the political party will issue whip. And if anyone disobeys, the disobeying means if they vote against the whip, then he will be considered to be disqualified. The main reason for this is many people used to take money and they used to cross vote. Whenever they cross vote, it was very difficult for the political parties to manage. So every political party agreed that there should be some norms which would help every political party in checking against their own MPs and MLAs acting against their parties. So if they cannot be removed, if they cannot be disqualified, then these people, after winning elections, they may take money and join another political party. So to avoid all these things, the government had brought anti-defection law, but this has been grossly misused even after this. So you will be seeing this again and again every year. So anti-defection law from polity point of view is always important. The next important issue, when United Nations meeting is going on, US President Donald Trump, Bhutan, India and several others have talked about expansion of permanent and non-permanent members. As you're all aware, the permanent members of United Nations are P5 and non-permanent members are 10. And when I talk about 5, you have US, Russia, China, France and UK. Non-permanent members are elected for 2 years term, and some countries are requesting for increasing the membership of non-permanent. India, along with other 3 countries, that is India, Japan, Brazil and Germany, are actually requesting that they should be included to be part of P5. But some of the major problems associated with this is Pakistan and China oppose India's entry. China oppose Japan's entry. Argentina opposes Brazil. Many European countries oppose Germany. Because of this, the biggest problem is the expansion is not taking place. If we look at the P5, it is 1945's powerful countries. But today the situation has changed and new countries have emerged. So if you have to consider the global realities today, United Nations Security Council has to be expanded and India should be given permanent membership. India has contributed significantly to the peace process and India has never started the war first. It is the largest democracy in the world. Apart from few aberrations, it is a country of tolerance. And when it comes to the most important aspect of humanity, peace and other things, India stands first. Several countries have always approached India for its role internationally, not just at United Nations, but also when it comes to WTO or United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. India has not only looked at the benefit of itself, but it has also worked for the benefit of others. Some of the criticisms of India is in some of the major global issues like Syrian crisis, Afghanistan, or whether it comes to Qatar crisis, India has not taken any stance. So this is being criticized by some P5 countries that if you want to become a powerful country or a P5 country, it is mandatory for you to either support or oppose it. So if you don't do both, then it would be very difficult for them to consider. So these arguments were there earlier, but now they have all accepted India's membership. And in international relations, whenever you write answer, every country apart from Pakistan and China has openly admitted that they would support India's entry into United Nations Security Council. Turkey was the only country till recently which had opposed along with Pakistan and China, but even now it has also said that India can become a member or permanent member of UNSC. All these are important for us. This issue about the delay in Nirbhaya scheme clearly shows lack of governance in the country. There are several funds in the country, but unfortunately when it comes to using those funds or releasing those funds, every government has failed. Whether it is recent farm loan, whether it is Nirbhaya case where a 10-year-old rape survivor from Chandigarh who gave recent birth has not received 9 lakh due to her from the compensation which was actually under Nirbhaya scheme. It was promised, but it is not given. The reason for this is who should give? Whether it is Ministry of Finance, whether it is Home Affairs or Women and Child Development, whose responsibility it is. All this is not clear. The Supreme Court has clearly said that this is disarray. This is confusion. So whenever you talk about governance issues, problems in service delivery, you need to bring these examples and try to tell that it is very difficult for the government to function if multiple ministries blame each other rather than working together. So until and unless we see some sort of these actions, then service delivery cannot be improved. Rohingya refugees are in news. Sheikh Hasina at United Nations has charted 5 points which is considered to be valid when it comes to refugees not only in Myanmar but also anywhere else. So the first important thing she says is Myanmar should be condemned and Myanmar should stop the violence and practice of ethnic cleansing forever. The UN Secretary General should immediately send a fact-finding neutral mission to see whether ethnic cleansing is taking place or not, and on the basis of the fact-finding committee, the decision has to be taken. But no country will allow UN fact-finding mission mainly because it would be seen against sovereignty. Neither Sri Lanka, nor India, nor Pakistan, nor China will allow anything of this sort when it comes to different issues. All civilians, irrespective of religion and ethnicity, must be protected, and there must be some safe zones where UN peacekeeping forces should be there and they should prevent killing of these people. For example, when I take Rakhine State, this should be actually under the control of UN peacekeeping forces for some time until and unless peace prevails in the region. And over a period of time, they should also ensure that the Rohingyas who were forcefully asked to migrate out of their country should be sent back there. And the most important one that we need to see is she talks about the Kofi Annan Commission report, which also talks about try to create international pressure on a particular government which is involved in this crisis. So whenever there is significant international pressure, then the country will try to be soft and they won't go for ethnic cleansing or genocide. So this has to be implemented quickly. Then the next important issue that we need to focus is about Pradhan Mantri LPG Panchayat, where the focus is actually about to bring some sort of enlightenment, safety, and some sort of knowledge with respect to the LPG, where we are giving LPG to the rural women, but they are not aware of the benefits and how exactly they have to make use of it. And there are some environmental concerns and there may be some blasts as well. So safety and efficiency is very, very important. And others who are still not using, they should be told what is the problem with cooking with the charcoal and others. Environment, desertification, what are the issues associated with cutting off these trees and using firewood for this. How the cheaper fuel which is available, if they can use effectively, then cheaper fuel may lead to better income opportunity where they can use it for other things as well. And this may lead to overall empowerment of the people and also the quality of their lives. So this is very, very important for us to look when it comes to the LPG panchayat scheme which the government has proposed, where the panchayats will play a very important role in giving effective information. Then we need to see with respect to a DRDO test fired air-to-air missile recently. As you're all aware, defense is very, very important for us when it comes to UPSC. Here we need to know some of the factual information with respect to any particular missile that is tested. Astra is beyond visual range air-to-air missile, which was test fired recently from Bay of Bengal. A total of 7 trials of this were conducted in various missions, and 2 of them were against pilotless target aircrafts, so that we are in a position to see how exactly our systems work. And if you look, it is one of the smallest weapon system developed by DRDO, having length of 3.8 meter and weighing 154 kgs. It is a single stage solid fuel missile and it has payload of 15 kg conventional. Remember, they may change this conventional to nuclear warhead. And you may feel that yes, Astra is a nuclear weapon. No, it is not a nuclear weapon. It is conventional explosive as of now. So these are some of the facts that you need to remember with respect to Astra. And then it is very important for us to look at one of the last important issue, that is with respect to BSF and ITBP chiefs are actually stressing for need of technology near border areas. This area is very, very important for us when we talk about border management. Comprehensive integrated border management system is very, very important, especially when we talk about insurgency from Pakistan, insurgency in Northeast, Bangladesh. We need to ensure that there should be some equipments which can help to counter infiltration and cross-border terror. The system will be capable of actually detecting if there is any infiltration via land, underwater or tunnels. However they come, we should be in a position to catch them. And this system also plans of virtual fence. Remember, you cannot construct fence throughout. So if you can use technology, even though if there is no fence, it would actually detect if there is any sort of infiltration, and that would act upon itself, so that would be beneficial for our army, so that even without losing our people or making them to guard, whenever you go for manual, there will be some sort of errors. But if you have virtual fence throughout, then it would take care of infiltration. And if we can link it with our IRNSS and other systems, that would be very, very beneficial. Second important thing, please remember, whenever we talk about this, it is not only with respect to Pakistan border or Bangladesh border, we need to talk about the coastal security challenges as well. Because after 26/11, we also have to remember that Pakistan's terror groups are increasing its influence in Maldives and other countries. So they may use that also to come. If you have to guard 7,517 kilometers of coastal region, then it's very, very important for us to ensure that this virtual coastlines or virtual security is available, so that even without the presence of the naval or army or BSF or ITBP, that would take care of infiltration or insurgency. So it is very, very important for us to deploy this as soon as possible, especially at a time when we are losing our soldiers to these terrorists or insurgents coming. You can see even in Northeast, there were few people who came, killed and went. Again, India had to interfere. We have the cold start doctrine, but along with that, the fencing is very, very important, right? So guys, it is very, very important for you to look at these issues from both prelims and mains point of view. And at last, again to say, I'll just give you my number. So whoever is interested for the NCERT videos, please send me your name and from where you are actually from. That would actually help me to intimate you how exactly you can get this access or whether you can attend the offline classes for the same thing. Thank you. Thanks for watching.